Here we go, episode 86 of the Hardline Sports Talk. I'm Michael Merlo. I'm with John Michael Masiri. JM, it's conference championship weekend. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. Getting ready for a nice slate of games here. Gonna be pretty good slate, I think. I mean, we've been a little unlucky with the games so far in this postseason. Haven't been a lot of nail biters besides that Chargers Jaguars game has been the best one I can remember so far, but hopefully two really good games.
Yeah, I think we're going to get two good games. I don't see how we don't get two good games. We'll talk about them, obviously. We've got some coaching rumors, some coaching hires around the NFL we want to quickly talk about at the end, but we are going to start in Philadelphia with the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Philadelphia. The Link, as they like to call it, LINC, not LINK. And obviously we understand how difficult it is to play there, considering the fact that their fans are not human at times. But the place does get loud and they're very passionate in all seriousness. And the Eagles are a good home team, and the Eagles have been really, really good this season. They showed that they were back to their midseason form against the Giants last week, and they're taking on a really good 49ers team, but with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be sweet about this. I'm just gonna lay it out there. The Niners, it's been a good year. This is where this is where the run ends. And you were saying in the beginning, sorry, hold on, just gotta clear my throat a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying in the beginning that we're hoping that you'll think that both of these games are going to be close. I'm here to tell you that maybe one of them will be. This one, I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I'll say it's going to be like 10 points.
You
I
think
think
the Eagles win
I
comfortably?
think this could be, a game, and maybe the Eagles pull away at the end, but I am pretty strongly confident that the Eagles are going to pull this out.
Yeah, and I'm on the opposite side of you here.
Yeah.
Um, both of these teams very interesting because they're kind of built similarly, where you have the San Francisco 49ers who have a great offensive line, great weapons on the outside, a great front seven, and a really good secondary. And the Eagles are basically the same thing, a great front seven, a great offensive line, a good secondary, and really good weapons on the outside and in the run game. The difference is the quarterback, obviously. I left that out on purpose. Brock Purdy is going to be asked to do something that is very difficult and not many rookie quarterbacks are asked to do. Go into the number one seed's house and beat them and get to a Super Bowl. Not many rookies are tasked with that. This game to me is going to come down to Jalen Hurts, right? We saw Hurts play incredibly well against the Giants. It was his first game really coming back. I don't count the week 18 game since the Bears game, and that was over a month ago at this point. If he plays well and plays like the MVP that we saw early in the year, the Eagles are going to win this game, and they'll probably win the game comfortably. But if he struggles and that San Francisco defense is playing well and San Francisco's running the ball, which they can do against the Eagles, if there's any weakness to this team, it's their run defense, then I think the 49ers are going to keep this close and have a chance to win late.
I get your point about Jalen Hurts, but I'm actually just going to say it's the opposite. I think a lot of this has to do with Brock Purdy. I mean, you said it yourself, going on the road as a rookie trying to beat the Eagles. It's a very tall task, and I agree. And I think he's had a really nice season. Obviously as Mr. Irrelevant, it's been a wonderful story, and he's done everything that he's been asked to do as a 49ers quarterback. But I've been saying it about this team since he took over as quarterback. I think there's just going to be a time where the task is a bit too tall for him, and the road's going to come to an end. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles are the team that's going to do that. I mean, it's a very high-powered offense. I understand how great the Niners defense is. Now, have the Niners faced an offense the caliber that the Eagles have? I don't know. The Eagles might have the best offense in the entire football and in the entire NFL. So, um, I can't see this Niners offense putting up a big amount of points, to be honest with you, and keeping up with the Eagles. I mean, you talked about the Eagles' run defense. I think that's the biggest concern, because the Niners are that ground and pound type of offense where they run first and they open up the play action and everything like that. But I just think that the difference here between quarterbacks and offenses, I think the Eagles are gonna pull away.
Yeah, and what I mean by, and I understand that, and you're right. If the Eagles get out to a 2 touchdown lead, the run defense, nobody really cares about that,
Right.
Then the 49ers are going to be forced to throw the ball a lot, and you're going to see turnovers from Purdy most likely. Now, the thing about the quarterback is that I'm kind of already saying Purdy's going to be this. Like, Purdy is not going to be great, but the rest of his team, we can predict is going to be really good. They're a really good roster, really good team, really well coached. So I'm almost saying Purdy's going to be whatever Purdy is. If Hurts can take it to that next level, if Hurts plays well, then the Eagles are no doubt going to win the game. I'm already expecting not the greatest performance from Brock Purdy. If Jalen Hurts almost plays down to the level of Brock Purdy, then you're going to keep this 49er team, which will then be able to use all their weapons the way they want to use them in the game, and controlling the clock, controlling the ball. If they're able to do that, then I think they're going to win the game, the 49ers. And it's not going to be easy, and it's going to almost have to go perfect, but I think there's a chance that happens because I trust this 49ers defense.
Right. I mean, quite possibly the best matchup of the day is just going to be line versus line on both sides of the ball. I mean, we talk about all the time the blueprint for building a great football team. Both these teams fit that mold. You got the Eagles have the best offensive line in football. The Niners probably have the best defensive line in football. Like it's and then vice versa. The Niners have a great offensive line, although they have had a little bit of struggles there, but overall they still have a great offensive line. They have the best lineman in football playing left tackle. And then the Eagles defensive line, Hassan Reddick is almost a defensive player of the year candidate. I mean, just right outside of that, the top three. And you can't forget about Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham having a resurgence year. So it's going to be really interesting to see that fight between the offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, whoever wins that battle is going to win the game. And now, just off the field for a second, talk about coaching, really. Not within the numbers, I should say, or within the white lines.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the upper hand, and I think you'll agree, to Nick Sirianni and D'Amico Ryan. Kyle Shanahan and D'Amico Ryans over Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff.
Right.
Shanahan's going to put him, I think, in the best position here, and Shanahan's going to want to, again, get all of his weapons involved early. They're going to want to establish the run. And listen, Sirianni's done a great job. I just trust this group more than I do Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon and co.
Yeah. I mean, from a reputation standpoint and experience and everything like that, you're gonna trust Shanahan. I think Sirianni's a great coach. I think he's done a fantastic job. This team had some expectations coming into this year, and they probably even exceeded those expectations.
Yeah, definitely.
People had them, to win the division, and they were like a sleeper Super Bowl pick. But to be 10-0 through the first 10 games and to get the number one seed in the NFC and be this juggernaut that they've become, it's really a testament to the coaching staff and to how good this roster really is. I think that defense wins championships. That it's true, but I think that's also a cliche because you can't just have a great defense. Like, you need to have still good pieces on the offense, and the Niners do. Obviously, they got superstars all around the ball. But I don't see this team as an 85 Bears team with Jim McMahon, where you just have an average quarterback, a guy who can't really do much. And Brock Purdy, I think, even though it's nice, it's a good story, he's been playing pretty good, he's not better than Jimmy G, or he's not even as good as Jimmy G is. I think Jimmy G gets a little too much hate, and I don't know if it comes from his own fan base or if it comes just from people around the league, but he's not playing at a better level than Jimmy G was when Jimmy G brought them to the, well, I'm not going to say brought them. When Jimmy G got to the Super Bowl, back in 2019, 2020, whatever year that was. Um,
Even
Now,
last year.
obviously, the way they won was different. I mean, that running game was absolutely dominant. They ran all over the Packers. Everybody remembers Raheem Mostert in that game
Mhm.
and Jimmy G throwing the ball 8 times or whatever that was. They don't have that running game anymore. They still have a good running game, but it's not dominant like that was. I mean, you saw it last week against the Cowboys. They struggled to get it going. So I think that it's a phenomenal defense. They're playing a phenomenal offense. So something's got to give there. But I think when you look at the flip side of it, Brock Purdy versus that Eagles defense on the road, that's where I think the Eagles get the edge.
The line is 2.5. That's the point spread there. It's a very weird line. It's kind of sat there all week, open around 1.5, 2. Got up to 2.5, and it's just stayed there. I think that's what's giving me pause also in saying I'm going San Francisco. It's just, why hasn't it moved?
Right.
I think it should be a 3,
I
3.5, 4.
I think you read into this stuff way too much. Like,
A
I
lot
understand.
of the times it's right.
I think with the whole public thing and everything like that, I understand that over the course of the regular season because it seems to average out over a really wide span of games. But you're talking about 1, 2 games in the playoffs. You looking at who the public's betting, how the line's moving, and stuff like that. Just think
But
about who's the better football team and who do you think is going to win the game.
what changes in the playoffs though?
It's a whole different animal.
No, I agree with you, but like, it's still a football game. The
Yeah,
house
but
still the house still always wins.
they don't
And
always
I'm
win. They lost last week with the Bills.
No, but they always end up.
They
They
always
always
end
end
up
up
winning.
ahead.
Well,
They
maybe they'll
always
win
end up
next
ahead.
week with the Super Bowl. But for right now, I'm I'm gonna take this line alternate. I'll probably take it at 5.5, 6.5.
Wow. He's getting aggressive here.
I am getting aggressive. I mean, I respect the hell out of the Niners. I think they've done a phenomenal job. John Lynch is one of the best GMs in football. He's done an amazing job at building this roster. I respect the hell out of Kyle Shanahan. He's a phenomenal coach. I just think the quarterback and that offense, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up.
I have a weird feeling that usually when you're betting a game and it's like 2.5, you're like, all right, team's probably gonna win. Or like even anything lower, obviously. You're thinking the team's gonna win. I have a weird feeling this game's gonna be like a 1 or 2 point win. And it could be for Philadelphia, but I think the game is gonna be like very, very close to the point where San Francisco might not win the game, but they might still cover.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. A really interesting thing to see too is the matchups with the cornerbacks and everything like that. Last week, the Niners didn't have to, and I know they don't. My friend Jack, the Niners fan, will correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they play too much man. I think they play a lot of zone on defense. But they didn't really get exposed for the lack of cornerback depth they have because the Cowboys don't really have much but outside of CeeDee Lamb at the receiver position. Devonta Smith could probably be a number 1 on a ton of teams in the National Football League. So we saw how he impacted the Giants last week with his play. We'll see what happens with him this week. He could be another big week coming for him.
Yeah. One more thing before we move on to the game. Nick Sirianni's getting I think a lot of hate, and I actually agree with it. He just comes off, man, as like this bully a-hole that hasn't been there before. The videos of him making faces in the camera, you got him screaming at the referee, I know what the F I'm doing. What is your take on Nick Sirianni?
Yeah. I mean, I was watching yesterday. I was the mic'd up of the divisional round and they had the Eagles game on, and you saw the kind of behind the scenes of that clip we saw when going to commercial of Sirianni in the camera, he's
Yeah,
shaking his head or whatever. And yeah, I mean, he does give off that whole arrogant vibe, but it fits the mold.
it does. It definitely fits that Philadelphia mold. And if you are on anybody from Philadelphia's Twitter account, Philly fans, they're all just like,
Yeah.
yep. we love it.
Of course they love it. Yeah.
keep hating on him. We don't really give a flying
Yeah.
F.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, let's move on to the next game. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. In the last 2 years here, the Bengals are 3-0 versus the Chiefs, including a playoff win in the AFC Championship game in Arrowhead last season. Patrick Mahomes has the high ankle sprain, but for the most part, whenever we've seen him walking, running, jogging, whatever it is, doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look like he's got too bad of a limp. He's going to play. He's not on the injury report, and he's practiced. So I know what side you're going on here. I want to say this before you go. I think these Bengals are getting a little too cocky. I heard today they're calling Arrowhead Burrowhead now
Yeah.
instead of Arrowhead. Yeah, I don't like that if I'm a Bengals fan heading into this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. But it's cockiness, but it's also, it's swag. They got a little mojo going for them. I'm just looking at this from a matchup standpoint. We know the Bengals have owned this team over the past 2 years, that they're 3-0 against them. They've won on the road too. They won on the road last year to get to the Super Bowl. It's the exact same matchup. Like I said about the Eagles and the Niners, I'm going to say it about this, and this is not all that it boils down to, but it's something to take note of. This is a high-octane passing offense that the Bengals have, and they have two fantastic receivers, and the Chiefs do not have good corners. So that's going to be a problem. I think this Bengals defense, it's been underrated for 2 years. People still seem to not give it credit for whatever reason. I think Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard are two of the best rushing tandems in the league. I mean, and not the best, but they're up there with some of the best.
Sure.
Trey Hendrickson is the most average looking guy I've ever seen in my life. He doesn't look like a football player, and he's just a beast. I don't know, understand.
It doesn't look like a defensive end, that's for sure.
No, he does not. He looks like a long snapper.
Yeah. Good comp.
The Chiefs defense, I'm not sure how they're going to fare against this offense of the Bengals. And then, you have the concern of Mahomes' injury. He's looked fine walking around, jogging around on it. Last week, he came back in the game. He was still hobbling a little bit, like you said. We'll see what happens with coming in the game on rest. But let's also remember, football is a contact sport. The minute he gets knocked down, he gets sacked, who knows? He could tweak it. It might get bad. So I'm sure a lot of people aren't going to pick the Chiefs with Chad Henne coming in at halftime. I don't know if it'll get to that point. I'm sure Mahomes, you'll have to, snap his ankle off his body to take him out of the game. But how's it going to impact his play, his mobility? I just talked about that Bengals pass rush. I'm sure they'll be the Chiefs O-line will have their hands full with that. You said it. I'm picking the Bengals. I expect it to be a closer game than what I'm predicting for the Eagles and the Niners, but I'm gonna stick to what I predicted in our postseason predictions way before the wild card started in a Chiefs and in a Eagles Bengals Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm flip-flopping here on this because I do like the Chiefs here. I think you're 100% right. That the secondary of the Chiefs is going to have, listen, when you play these two or even three, and even the way Hurst is like 4 receivers that Burrow has to throw to, you're going to have your hands full no matter who it is, no matter what team, no matter what secondary you got, you're going to have your hands full. I think the difference here, and I lost so much money betting against Joe Burrow. I'm gonna do it again. I can't not do it. I can't not do it. Here's the thing, though, and this was what I said last year, and it's what I said last weekend, but I'm gonna say it again. And I think there's validity to this time, and that is that the Chiefs pass rush, led by Chris Jones, has been really good. It has been good this year.
Yeah.
Chris Jones had a nice year. It's much better than whatever we saw from the Buffalo Bills, which was not really much. I mean, I'm not even taking that game into account right now, although they were incredibly impressive. Well, I'm talking about the offensive line, I should say. I think the pressure that the Chiefs will get on him will be enough to disrupt him a little bit. Not where, oh, they're gonna, score 14 points or 17 points. Like, they're gonna score how they're gonna score. But I think it's gonna disrupt them enough that maybe they won't go down the field and go on 7-minute drives for the first 4 opening drives of the game like they did against the Bills. How about that?
Okay. What I would say to that, though, is Zach Taylor does a really good job of scheming against good pass rushes.
Yeah.
And
They get the ball out quick. Yeah.
And they did it last week against the Bills. They got the ball out really quick. And I'd go back to that game against Tennessee last year, the divisional round, when they advanced the AFC Championship. Joe Burrow got sacked 10 times in that game. And I know that's not always the way the story goes. When they played the Rams, they had a tough time. They ended up losing. Aaron Donald was really disruptive. But I don't know that it'll disrupt them too much. And I think they might have a very similar game plan to what they did against the Bills. And I think it might work for them.
I also think Mahomes is I think Mahomes is gonna be good. I trust that Patrick Mahomes is gonna, I shouldn't say he's gonna. I think this coaching staff is going to put them in the best possible position. As always, obviously Andy Reid's amazing. I can't say I trust him to stay, cautious, play cautious, stay healthy throughout the game, do whatever he can to not take hits. I can't trust that.
Right.
Because he is a gamer. He does do what he wants. But somebody said this, and I'm blanking on who. I can't see a guy like Patrick Mahomes losing to anybody. As good as Burrow is, he's the second best quarterback in the league right now. Can't see him losing to Burrow 4 times. I can't see it. I think they finally get slayed here. They have to get slayed here. And I think I'm going to slay the Joe Burrow dragon. I really do. I think this is where he goes down. I really do.
I think you're wrong. I think he's gonna keep tormenting you over and over again. He's gonna keep taking your money.
I know.
He's taking your pride, and he's just gonna keep.
It's more that than anything else. The money's whatever. It's the pride.
Exactly.
Because I want to like him.
It's a matter of principle.
I want to like him. He is really cool. He's an unbelievable player. Nothing phases him. He's a cool guy. I think some people are a little too, crazy about him, especially these girls on TikTok. Holy crap.
Yeah, relax.
I mean,
no shame anymore. No shame.
No, I mean, none at all.
Yeah, just out there telling what exactly in detail what they would like for Joe Burrow to do, but
yeah,
I won't go into detail.
And by the way, he has a girlfriend and she's very attractive. Yeah. But how does she feel? What?
She must just be taking it like a champ and just be like, yeah, I mean, it must make her feel cool, I guess.
It could work in both ways, though. It could be oh my God, all these girls are obsessed with him. Or it's yeah, I sleep with that. Yeah, he's mine, But yeah, I want to like him, but I can't. And it's principle at this point. I have to go against him. It's Patrick freaking Mahomes. I have to pick Mahomes in this spot. I have no choice. So I'm taking the Chiefs. But I hope it's a good game, and I think it'll be a good game. So we're going opposite here.
We're polar opposite. Again, like we were last week, basically.
Yes, we're completely opposite here. I'm due for a nice Sunday here. I didn't have a good Sunday last week. I'm due for a good Sunday here.
All right.
So we'll see. Anything else we got in these games? I feel like I'm forgetting on something in this Chiefs game. I think I got everything.
Yeah, I mean, no other major injuries or anything like that. So
no. There was nobody on the Chiefs injury report, I'm pretty sure. And it's kind of funny that Mahomes is not. All right, coaches. Let's start with your Jets. So look at you guys hiring Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator. They made the announcement Thursday afternoon. Hackett, who was obviously just fired by the Broncos, comes in. What are you thinking here?
Well, first off, I'd like to say that I am happy with the signing. I wanted them to sign him, actually. He was one of my favorite candidates that they had. Now, let me just address something because, as a Jet fan, I deal with a lot of crap, and rightfully so. We've been terrible, and we've had some real dysfunction over the years. and we're probably, it's probably never going to go away just because we're the Jets and whatever. But let me just say that to the people that are calling this Adam Gase 2.0 and saying typical Jets, like, have they not learned, blah, 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 blah. Yes, Nathaniel Hackett, that was a disaster in Denver as head coach. We are not hiring Nathaniel Hackett to be our head coach. We
Right.
hired Adam Gase to be our head coach. That was like, what the hell are you doing? Nathaniel Hackett has been a good OC just about wherever he's been. I know that stat that you told me about the offensive rankings when he was in Buffalo with
Yeah, no, that's
Tyrod Taylor and whoever the hell else he had. He was the offensive coordinator for the Jaguars when they had Blake Bortles. They made it to the AFC Championship. Went to Green Bay, got Rodgers, and I'm sure, well, it's Aaron Rodgers. Of course, he's a great quarterback, but helped Aaron Rodgers get back to his MVP form, and it didn't work out in Denver as a head coach. He's still a good offensive mind. It's completely different being a head coach. It's happened with Todd Bowles. It's happened with someone else that I'm forgetting right now, Dan Quinn. I mean, he made it to a Super Bowl, but that didn't really end very pretty in Atlanta. He's been a great coordinator. Even guys like, I don't know, Anthony Lynn. There's been guys who have been crappy head coaches and end up being good coordinators. They just can't be head coaches. So I like the hiring.
Yeah, and now obviously the Aaron Rodgers talk has heated up even more. I actually just got sent. Oh, I gotta interrupt for a second. Somebody just sent me this. Georgia football head coach Kirby Smart just landed in a helicopter on the football field at Holy Trinity High School on Long Island, right near us. He's there to what do you call it? Recruit some kid from Holy Trinity
on the field.
Yeah, you could see the helicopter on the field. I'll send it to you. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Back to Hackett, of course. I think it's a lazy take to just say, oh, well, he sucked in Denver and it didn't go well. He's gonna suck with the Jets. I think that's lazy. And you really got to look at, and you're right. What he did with Bortles that year, they went to the AFC Championship game. They had a top-rated offense. I don't think that this was just a hire to
lure Aaron Rodgers.
Right. I don't think it was just that. And if it was,
then what the hell are you doing? Yeah.
Bad move.
Yeah,
but
really
I don't think it was. And I think he's going to help this team. I think he's going to help whatever quarterback. It's tough to kind of project, though, because we don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be.
Yeah.
So, solid move. You get a guy with experience in here. I don't hate that at all.
Right.
And, yeah.
Even not applying to Rodgers, even for whatever quarterback, it's good for a quarterback when you're looking for who your coordinator is going to be. It's a guy with experience. This isn't just some no-name guy, a quarterback's coach or whatever that they promoted and they're hoping that he's going to be a good coordinator. He's got experience doing the job. He's had success. So that's a big deal. The Jets interviewed over 15 different candidates for this job. So this wasn't just, oh, we want Rodgers, let's get Nathaniel Hackett, bring him in, blah, 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 have an interview. All right, you're a coach. This was obviously an extensive process. And obviously Douglas really likes him. I'm sure Saleh loves him. I'm sure in these interviews they're talking about obviously what kind of offense they're going to run, what plays they like, blah, 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 or how they view the personnel, how they could use the players. So I'm sure Hackett had some really good ideas and they like the kind of coach that he is. So.
For somebody to have such a terrible stint, right? To be so bad in one spot.
Yeah.
For him to get a job right away where he could have just taken the year off. He's still getting paid by Denver for the next couple of years. So, he could have just taken a seat, but he clearly wants to continue to coach. That's number one, has motivation. And number two, for him to be so impressive in these interviews, for the Jets to say, well, this stinks. Like, this side absolutely stinks, what just happened. But we really like the guy. Like, that should also tell you that they did their homework and they're happy with this. So,
it's just like in any other, real world job. He's, you're becoming a leader of an organization, being the head coach. It's a lot. It's a lot on your plate. So, being a guy who is an offensive coordinator, you don't have to go out and decide if you should go for it on fourth down or when you should use your timeouts or answer to the media of what went wrong and say, oh, that's on me and blah, 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 or speak in front of the entire team and motivate guys. It's completely different. It's being a leader versus, I don't want to call being an offensive coordinator a follower, but it kind of is. It's, you know, you don't have to take those leadership roles the way you do as a head coach. And it's completely different. It's going
Yeah, but
from a secretary to a manager. It's a big leap.
you're the guy making the decisions at the end of the day. But I feel like if you're an offensive coordinator, while you're preparing, because a lot of these guys are prepared to make these fourth and short calls, these fourth down calls, go for two. They are prepared, or when they're going to call time out, they're prepared. They know in certain situations throughout the week, if this comes up, this is what we're going to do. So number one, Hackett's obviously involved in those meetings. You would think, and any coordinator, not just Hackett, would have, picked up on these things. At least if I was a coordinator, I'd be like, all right, what would I do in this situation? Do I disagree with the coach? I want to let him know. Probably not, but would I do anything differently? You're learning on the fly here as a coordinator. He doesn't have to make these decisions now, and that's a good thing. Also, what's weird is he didn't call, he wasn't the play caller, with the main play caller for Green Bay. Why the hell wouldn't have he hired a legit offensive coordinator to come in and call his plays?
Oh, Hackett?
That he was calling the plays. What a F up, man, that was.
Yeah.
But anyway, move on. Frank Wright is going to be the head coach in Carolina. I think he was the team's first quarterback, right?
Yeah, he was.
That's pretty nuts.
Also, he's from Freeport. I don't know if you knew that. I had no idea.
Really?
Yeah, he's from Freeport.
Wow, local guy to us.
Yeah.
Listen, I keep seeing this about Steve Wilkes, and it's obviously a touchy subject. I think Steve Wilkes did a hell of a job. Hell of a job.
Yeah.
And I think he deserves to keep the job. But I also understand where the Panthers are coming from, hiring an offensive coach that has had success in this league. I don't think Frank Wright should have been fired from the Colts. I really don't. And I think this may have been a blessing in disguise that he was. I like Frank Wright. I like the hire, but it's a tough situation. It's a tough sell. And it's a bad look, honestly, because Steve Wilkes did a hell of a job and deserves to be a head coach somewhere. And, a lot of people thought it should have been with Carolina. But if you didn't see him as the long-term plan, then why give him the job for a year and then fire him if you guys were terrible next year? I could also see that as the case, but it's a tough situation. But I do like Frank Wright.
You got to feel for Steve Wilkes. I mean, with his stint with the Cardinals, that was extremely short-lived. They let him go really early, and then what you just said about letting him go already for Frank Reich. Now, I do like Frank Reich a lot. I really like that hire, just like you do. What a situation that has become in Indianapolis. I mean, we were big on them coming into this year and coming into last year. And last year, they fizzled out at the end. We know about that loss to the Jaguars and the collapse they sort of had. But coming into this year, we thought Matt Ryan was going to be better than Carson Wentz. And we thought that this team was a year older and had some guys. We thought Michael Pittman was going to have a huge year. Jonathan Taylor was going to have a huge year. He gets hurt. Michael Pittman's all right. Things have really gone downhill for them to the point now where they're one of the least attractive destinations for coaches, for quarterbacks. You really don't want to go there anymore.
The offensive line even took a step back, which is pretty surprising.
Even Quentin Nelson took a step back, which is crazy to think. I mean, he seemed like he was on like the Zach Martin path, which he probably still is. It's just 1 year, but the Panthers, they're obviously in an extremely weird situation. They've had 2 quarterbacks from the same draft class that were drafted in the top 3 have come over. They've tried to fix both of them. They've done a better job with Darnold than they have with Baker. Baker's gone. Darnold's all right. He's really kind of the same player he was with the Jets. I mean, he hasn't really become much better, but
no.
We'll see what they do. I don't know what their plans are with quarterback. If I'm them, I draft a quarterback. I wouldn't. What's a veteran quarterback going to do for your team? I don't think that, they have a lot of things they need to figure out. I'm shocked that DJ Moore is still even on that team. I thought he would be gone by this point. But, they got some nice young pieces. J.C. Horn is becoming one of the best corners in the NFL. So Brian Burns is a beast.
Yeah. They got some players on defense that they can build around there.
And I'm sure Frank Reich will have a nice impact on their team.
Yeah. And finally, just the last rumor, Wink Martindale is going to get a second interview with the Colts. And like you said, the Colts are a dumpster fire, and they've even, I think they're really considering Jeff Saturday, which should not be a consideration. Whatever. I hope they hire him and they don't take Kafka or Wink Martindale from my Giants. But that's that. Sean Payton. I said this at the beginning of this kind of couple weeks here. I don't think Sean Payton's gonna get a job this year because I just don't think any of these jobs are too attractive to him. And they're really not attractive jobs. I mean, they are really
unless the Chargers open up, and I don't think that's gonna happen.
Right, exactly. And I think there's a chance the Chargers open up in the next couple of years. So I think he should wait on that, or just a better situation than what he's got. That's gonna do it for us though, here, episode 86. Check out our YouTube page, everything. We're gonna have a lot coming for the playoffs, off season for our teams, kind of projections, and our list, of course, our top 10 second baseman coming out soon. Anything you gotta say?
No, let's have a good Sunday.
Yes,
let's see whose teams win. Let's see who's right. All right, guys.